is nothing anybody can do. That is your belief. Your belief is solid. I say your belief is solid. Because you are acting on what God has spoken. To act on what God has not spoken, you force yourself to believe on what God has not spoken. That is not believing. You are dreaming. You are dreaming, acting on your own imagination. We need to know God's will and act according. If I allow you again, you are ready. So I have to congratulate you for your belief. The word believing is simply acting on what God has spoken. If your father promised to give you something, and you base your belief on that, that believing is solid. Believing is made easy when you know that it is acting on what God has promised, on what God has said. It is when you know God's way, you can now act according to his will before you pray. This is why we need to know God's way and act according. God's promise must be known to us before we pray. Tell your neighbor. I can hear you. If not, you will continue to be disappointed. God's promise means God's will. When we know God's way, we act according to his way. This is why we say, let the will of God be done. I think faith is a trust that arises out of the fact that other party is honest, reliable, trustworthy. It means we are not looking for great faith, but great God. Great God. Who is that other party? Who is reliable in this world? Who is trustworthy? It's one that has no beginning and has no end, that can be trusted. There is power in our mouth. The belief in our heart. Is released by faith. So let there be light. To release that power, I need faith to release it. Faith is a heavenly resources. Heavenly resources. Faith is heavenly resources. If you need heavenly resources, it is faith you use. Now you want also to get heavenly things like healing, like deliverance, blessing, all of God's blessings, salvation. You need faith to purchase them. They are all heavenly resources. Faith can be regarded as heavenly currency that purchase heavenly resources. Faith now is heavenly currencies. Tell your neighbor. So what you are able to achieve depends on the amount of heavenly currency you have. Faith grows as we continue to read, hear, and obey. It grows. Tell your neighbor, allow your faith to grow. I can hear you. So that you can purchase greater heavenly resources.
We believe you have been inspired by the clip you have just watched. Click here to subscribe to witness more of God's power at work